All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about are bones. So we've talked about cartilage, now we're going to talk about bones. Okay, and so these are going to, you usually call them bones. You can also use this term osseous tissue. So if you're reading something and it says osseous, that also means, it just basically means bone tissue, okay? Bones are going to support and protect body structures. So think about our bones are allowing us to kind of support our body weight and stand upright, but they also are going to be things like our ribs that are going to kind of make sure that those areas are protecting beneath. Okay, so like where your heart is, where these really important organs are going to be, you're going to have some bones that are going to kind of support that area. Think about your skull. The skull is going to help protect the brain. Okay, so what's going to start making this different is that it's going to have inorganic salts, and one of them is going to be calcium salt. So inorganic salts. So calcium salt is one of them. You sometimes have phosphorus as well. And this is going to kind of give this rigidity to the actual bone, okay? Another thing that the bone does is it actually stores fat. So fat is going to be stored in what we call yellow marrow. Okay, and this is going to be inside the bone. They're also, you may not have heard of yellow marrow, but you've probably have heard of like red marrow or bone marrow. So bone marrow, sometimes called red marrow. This is going to be where blood cells are synthesized. So blood cells synthesize. Okay, and so we're gonna have both kind of red blood cells, which we're gonna call erythrocytes. So these are red blood cells. And we're also gonna have leukocytes, which are going to be white blood cells. So bones are very important, they do a lot. Okay, unlike cartilage, these are highly vascular and innervated, so they have lots of nerves. Oops, innervated. Okay, so these are going to be able to, if they're broken, be able to kind of fix themselves and heal. Lots of blood is going to be in this area, and blood is produced inside of them. So highly vascular and highly innervated, okay? When we're making things like blood cells, those are gonna require a lot of energy, and so this is gonna be a place where you need a lot of oxygen, a lot of nutrients for that to happen. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the bone cells. So there are going to be the kind of the same ones that we've talked about before, where we have the blasts and the cytes. So we're going to have osteoblasts. Okay, and so these are going to produce the organic portion of the bone matrix. Okay, so these are going to be kind of things that are not these calcium salts, but these are going to produce the organic portion of the bone matrix. Okay, and so this is often called the osteoid. So it's mostly collagen and ground substance. This is then going to be infiltrated by calcium salts. So infiltrated by calcium salts. And that part is inorganic. Remember, calcium salts are going to be inorganic. So this kind of forms this matrix, collagen and some ground substance, and then calcium salts are going to invade that and give it rigidity, okay? So then we have the osteocytes, Okay, so again, these are going to be mature bone cells, and they're going to be found in lacunae. So this lacunae are these locations that we find both the cells for cartilage and the cells for bones in, okay? And the lacunae are going to be embedded within the bony matrix. So they're going to be surrounded by the bony matrix. Now, a third type of cell that we haven't mentioned in any of the other groups are, because it's specialized in here, are going to be called osteoclasts. Osteoclasts. So these are going to be like little cells that are going to degrade bone so that it can be remodeled. So if you have a broken bone, you need to be able to kind of get rid of the old stuff and remodel. So osteoclasts are going to be associated with bone remodeling. Okay. They are often going to be called multinucleated, which means that they have more than one nucleus. Multinucleated. Okay. And they're normally going to be located on the external or internal surface of the bone. So located on external or internal. So kind of on the edges, internal surface of bone. Okay. So I've run out of space, but I will kind of move this up. Actually, you guys can just pause it if you need that. Okay. What they do, so osteoclasts, darn it. Oops, spelled that way wrong. Osteoclasts. Sorry, my spelling has not gotten better over this, over the quarantine time. So osteoclasts, they are going to release enzymes to degrade bone. And once they do that, the degraded bone material just goes back into the blood and can be reused, okay? Now, all of these cells, so osteoblasts, osteocytes, osteoclasts, all bone cells are nourished by nearby blood capillaries. Okay, and we're going to talk about these blood capillaries and all these kind of where the blood vessels are located, but specifically kind of between cells, we're going to have these things called caniculi. When you think of this word, think like canal. This is going to be like a tunnel or a channel that is going to provide connections between osteocytes and blood capillaries. And so I'll show you a picture of that in a second. Oops. All right. So quickly show you this. We're going to come into more detail in a second, but you're going to start seeing these things called, these are the central canal, which I haven't talked about, but this is going to be where a lot of blood vessels are. It's kind of the central location. And then we have these little kind of rice-shaped things, these black structures. Those are the lacunae, and inside the lacunae are going to be the osteocytes. Okay, and then if you can see closely, there are these little lines that kind of go between these locations. Those are going to be the caniculi that actually connect kind of the blood vessels that run through these. Okay, so that they all have to be able to have access to blood so that they can get the nutrients that they need. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the chemical composition of bone. Composition All right, and so there are going to be the organic components. These are going to be the cells. Okay, so we're going to have the osteoblasts, osteocytes, osteoclasts, and then the osteoid, which is that matrix, which has collagen. It also has kind of the ground substance is going to be proteoglycans and glycoproteins. Okay, and the osteoid makes about 1/3 of the matrix. Okay, now the inorganic compounds are going to be calcium, hydroxypate, okay, which looks like this, Ca10PO4. I won't ask you to write this out, but I just kind of want to show you what it looked like. So basically these are mineral salts. So this is inorganic. This is not considered like living. This is going to make up the majority of the bone matrix. So if this makes up about, the osteoid is about like 1/3 of the bone matrix, this or inorganic stuff is going to make 2/3. So it's got a lot of it. Okay. And, it's got a lot of calcium, a lot of phosphorus in it. That's going to kind of help provide this rigidity. All right. So we are now going to kind of talk a little bit about the structure of bone. We will go into all of the bones in a lot more detail when we get to a different unit, but at this point we're kind of just looking at the actual structure and what these look like under the microscope. So if you remember when I was talking about cartilage, there was this tissue that surrounded the cartilage, the perichondrium. Well, bone actually has something similar. So let's say bone structure. Okay, and so we have this structure called the periosteum. Okay, again, peri, think of like around. And so this is going to be, and I think of perimeter. So like if you're doing a perimeter of a box, you know, if you go back to geometry, you're taking the length of around. So kind of peri, around, this is around a structure. So this is membrane on outer surface of bone. So it's kind of this actual layer of material. It is going to have a lot of nerve fibers and blood vessels. Okay. So in between this and the bone, this is where you're often going to find osteoblasts and osteocytes. So osteoblasts and class are often found here. Okay, the osteocytes are actually within the bone structure, so we'll see those in a second. There also is going to be another layer, so I'm going to draw you, this is, bear with me, not a great drawing of a bone, but just kind of do a structure. And what I wanted to kind of show is that, so on the outside, there's going to be this periosteum. But then inside, there's going to be a kind of a cavity within the bone. This is where, you know, bone marrow and stuff is going to be. There is then an inner lining, which is called the endosteum. Okay, and so the endosteum is going to be membrane, lining, kind of all of the inner canals and cavities of the bone. Lining, inner canals and cavities of bone. You're also going to find osteoblasts and osteoclasts under here because they're kind of at the edge. They're going to be there to make new bone material, also to degrade bone material if it needs to be kind of remodeled. So they're kind of waiting out there. Osteoclasts, clasts and blasts. Okay, so again, periosteum and endosteum is going to be there. Inside endo, that's how I usually think of that. Okay, a little bit about the microscopic bone structure, because you're going to look at this under the actual, well, we won't be using microscopes, but we took pictures of them for you guys to see. And microscopic bone structure. Okay, and so I first kind of wanted to draw what this looks like. And again, this is not perfect, but it just kind of gives you a little bit of a preview. Okay, so inside the very center is going to be the structure called the central canal. Okay, and so we have this, it says central canal. It also has another name, which is the Haversian canal. So you will read this term in your lab manual and probably in the textbook, so make sure that you can recognize these. They are the same thing. If you used them on a test, it'd be the same thing. Okay, so this is going to be a hollow tunnel in compact bone. There are different types of bone. We have spongy bone and compact bone. We're not really going to talk about those too much right now, but you'll find these in kind of the bone that we are looking at for this lab, okay? What happens is in this central canal is where we have blood vessels and nerves. So they're running through there. All right. We also have kind of, I'm gonna draw kind of what the cell structure look like. So these little things I'm drawing right now, these are going to be the cells inside the lacunae. Okay, and the cells are just kind of on these edges, kind of surrounded by the bone matrix. Okay, so they're embedded within it. And they're, I'm kind of evenly spacing them out, but they're not necessarily like this. Okay, so these would be the actual osteocytes inside of a lacunae. So don't forget that lacunae. So they're always going to be in the lacunae. All right, there are going to, you kind of see this structure, and I probably should, sorry, I need to put little cells right here because this is also going to have cells. Okay, so we have the central canal, and then we have the cells here. Now, you're going to notice how I have kind of this concentric rings that I've drawn. That is how bone is made, okay? And we call these lamellae. Okay, and so these are concentric. So that just means like circles around circles. Rings of compact bone. Okay, they surround, central canals. Okay, so if you look at, this would be the central canal, and then you kind of, it's not obviously as easy to see, but you would have kind of these circular areas around. There's one, kind of find where the cells are. Those are going to be the lamellae, okay? And so they kind of go around. So if you see the lamellae is kind of this thing right here. So between kind of one cell layer and then another cell layer, this is going to then be the area that has that calcium salts and all the other materials of the bone. Now, the central canals are going to go down the length of the bone. So let's just say this is my arm. And if you were to look at my arm like this, the central canals would go straight down. Okay, but we also want to be able to connect different central canals to each other. And so we have this additional structure called the Volkmann's canal. And I'll try to do another video where I show this a little bit better, because I think this is sort of a more difficult concept. And I have a bunch of pictures I want to show you in another slide kind of show. But the Volkmann canals, they're going to connect central canals together. Okay, and so this is going to be kind of an interesting view. So if we're kind of looking at this and, you know, we look down into it, and so it actually is a central canal, you're then going to have these other canals that are going to connect central canals to each other. And these ones that are going perpendicular, so central canals are going this direction, kind of parallel to each other and down the length of the bone. We're going to have Volkmann canals that connect central canals together, okay? And they're going to be perpendicular, so they're going a different direction. So they're going to connect central, canals together. Wow, really not spelling great today. Get her. All right. And then the last little thing that I haven't drawn is kind of how the cells are kind of connected. Well, they have these little tiny, you see them, I'm not gonna be able to draw them as well, but these little tiny black lines, those are gonna be the caniculi. So that's kind of the last structure I wanted to talk about for the bones. So these little tiny black, some of them are really faint, but these little black things are going to be the caniculi. Okay, and so we'll do that final little thing. Actually, I'll just kind of show them here. So these are the caniculi. I'm not going to draw a bunch of them. So caniculi. Okay, and so they connect one lacunae to another. One lacunae to another. Okay, so these have lots of blood vessels. Everything's kind of connected to each other so that we can have a lot of energy. So glucose and oxygen and things like that are going to be really important for cellular respiration, so that these can make new bone material, can make blood cells, things like that. Okay, so those caniculi are going to help connect it. We have the central canal that's going to have blood vessels. We're going to have these Volkmann's canals that go kind of sideways that are going to connect central canals together. And then we have the caniculi that are actually connecting these different lacunae together. Okay, so that is going to be the bones.